Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Katal coming to you live. I'm here with my friend Harry Nanos, and he's from Hideaway Studio.
Correct.
In Lancefield.
Hey Johnny, how are you?
Good, buddy. Good to see you, man.
It's been a long time.
It has been. I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done. Firstly and foremost is to build a website for this purpose, just to help people at home or any viewers right now watching us talking to understand what we are all about. It's not just about music, it's all about life in general. And I just want to ask you this question. In your travel, actually I was following your travels back home and I know how great it is to be back home and just to live the moments. How did you go, like, personally?
Well, as you're experiencing yourself, Johnny, it's travel is certainly a wonderful way to look at how other people live, you know. And I think we're very lucky in this country. We have such a big country, and of course we've got resources and all that kind of stuff. But I think for me personally, I mean, going over to, I was lucky enough to go to parts of Europe where some of the Greek islands and some of the villages and some of these places where people probably don't have as much, but I learned that love, you can't beat it. I mean, people just live a different lifestyle in those kind of places, and they give, people give. They don't have, it doesn't seem to be, to me anyway, this got a concept of, getting more ownership of material things and getting a bigger house and getting all this kind of stuff. People tend to, in those village type of environments, what I've seen is just, the families around you, your friends around you, you drink, you smoke, or whatever you do, you just have a good time with your family, and life's probably simpler. I think that's probably what it is, and people seem to be, to me anyway, more giving of themselves, but hey, that's just my experience.
Beautiful. Hey, so one of the purpose for me to meet with you today also is to have an extension to the website.
Yep.
And share with you some of the pictures that I took during my trip to PNG, at home, and the review that I did, and there's a lot of support and feeling towards that. And as you know, at home, what you said and shared is exactly what's happening at home, where there's no there's no need for big homes or big luxury stuff. As long as you're happy in life, as long as goods and services are provided to the people to enjoy what others from the other side of the world is enjoying. When I say other side of the world, back in PNG itself, for example, at my village, because there's no connection, there's no link between the village and the towns, so to speak. For example, Kilmore or Lancefield, and then you go to up bush to one of the town. So those at home is like that. They're still living. When I go home, I live on the bush material house, and I loved it. Yeah.
There you go. That's kind of what I'm saying. I mean, people live in these. I mean, I visited places, in the hills, in the middle of nowhere, so to speak, if you like, and met people that honestly were just so beautiful and so kind and so generous and so loving, and I'd never met them, and so connected to the earth, connected to where they belong and all that kind of stuff. And I just, it made me think when I came back here, it made me think, have we lost that, as a human race, in our chase for diamonds and pearls and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I'm just using that as an analogy, but, where you go to these kind of places, I mean, I went to some villages that you walk in the middle of nowhere, you walk in and there's mum and dad and son and daughter cooking for you, and beautiful music. And they sit down with you and they talk to you, and then you almost become friends with people. And I just think that's what attracted me to that kind of lifestyle. And I guess what you're experiencing, moving around, to, going to different places, I mean, you know, you probably come from a culture like that. I mean, but you know, that's kind of, it seems to me that the more indigenous people are, as in they're more connected to the earth, the more happy they seem to be. Or, you know, happy, maybe not the word, grateful, maybe not a better choice.
Beautiful.
You know, grateful for what they have, and you know, everybody wants to. You know, I guess if you can get a little bit more, I mean, it's wonderful what you're doing. I mean, trying to help people in these kind of environments of need. You know, like you showed me a video before. You know, organising some computers at that school.
Cool.
It's fantastic that you're doing stuff like that, because I think, you know, the whole world needs to have the opportunity. But you know, that core sense of, you know, I just want a simple life. I think that's what I found the most attractive.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Harry. And just for the viewers' sake, could you just say in 3 words, and also just a bit of a background on you for yourself, like as a musician, songwriter, so people understand it, please?
Johnny, I've been in fully professional musician, music producer, I suppose, for nearly 40 years now. I did work in the corporate world in advertising and food for a number of years, but I just really felt kind of lost in that sort of environment of greed and hunger and money and, you know, all that kind of stuff that goes with the corporate world. And I've always been a musician. I mean, so, you know, as a kid. And anyway, I was lucky enough to find a position in a recording studio in Melbourne, just going back a long time. Ended up buying another place, worked in Melbourne for many years doing all sorts of things. I've done lots of albums and videos and all that kind of stuff from all sorts of styles of music. Then I joined a band. I toured with a band for about 15 years, all over pretty much everywhere. It was quite a successful band. And then set up here, which I was kind of doing with the band.
So what's the name of the band?
The band was called CRAKAJACK.
CRAKAJACK.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It was a country rock band. Yeah, you can get us on YouTube if you care to check it out. But and then I set up this. I mean, I've been living here for many years, as you know, and so these days I'm working for other singer-songwriters, for advertising people, for doing some documentaries. So it's kind of, I'm really lucky because I'm sort of, my passion is music, obviously. But you know, I've got involved with video. My son's a video guy, and he's very good. And so we've started, you know, we did a couple of docos, and we're working on a few different projects. So I'm very, very lucky to be surrounded by the beauty that we have outside, and be able to work for myself. So it's cool.
And talking about working, a good friend of mine and good friend of yours now also is Tony Byrne, and we collaborated on the song back in 2019.
Yeah, great song, Spirit of the Wind.
Yeah, and he's got a project he's working on.
Yes, yeah. Look, as you know, I mean, we met through Tony, of course, and Tony is just a very inspirational man, who comes up with lots of wonderful ideas. And he's a great singer. He sings well. He writes some fantastic songs. But what I like about Tony is everything comes from the heart. There's no pavlova on the top. It's just all veg for Tony. It's just the way it is, and I love that. And I love the fact that, you know, there's a connection. I think we have a connection. I understand where he's at because he's real. For me, he's just so real. He doesn't have to sort of embellish anything. And we started off recording some of his songs. I think I've done maybe 2 or 3 albums for Tony now, and this has now moved on to this new documentary that Tony's kind of really put together, which I'm sort of co-directing with him, and we're filming it obviously. And it's about Family Constellation, which is a very, very probably not as heralded, and I suppose it's not well known healing way people sort of, I guess it's a spiritual look at the way people can heal themselves. I'm very, very green to it, but I'm starting to learn a lot about it. We've been to a couple of workshops, and obviously Tony's very engaged in it. So that's what we're working on at the moment, and we're hoping to have that sort of out rolling by sort of early this year, and
Beautiful.
get that onto the TV networks if we can.
Yes, beautiful. Now, for viewers' sake, Tony, as Harry and I are speaking, Tony is one of our great mates, and we worked together at Assumption College, and it was through him that I met Harry, and we collaborated on a song in 2019, which was called Spirit of the Wind, and it's still there for anybody to go and have a look. It's got a beautiful storyline to it, and it connects us, our soul, and it's actually really focusing on the youth for today and the ancestors' story. A lot of people right now, as Harry was saying, still they're focused too much on materialistic stuff and not connected enough to the earth, and that way we enjoy life and we can go and we live longer. I believe happiness and connection to, be grounded,
belonging, belonging, people. I just found, again, I'm only one small fish in a small pond, but you would see that, I'm sure. It just seems to me that when people belong to something, it's almost like a tribe mentality. It's like being in a band. You belong to something. You're part of it. You feel. But if you think about what belonging means, belonging actually means you share, because you're part of a family. You share your experiences. You share food. You share everything. So, and there are people in our society that don't belong. They feel like they don't belong. They don't feel like they. So maybe those people don't get that sense of sharing and belonging, and maybe it's the material things that inspires them, because they can't find that anywhere else, because as we very well aware, there's so many disconnected families today, but being and I saw it almost every time I've travelled to Europe. I see it. I just see families and people and relations and friends, and just sitting around all together, sharing a meal or whatever it might be. It's just beautiful. I don't think we do enough of that here.
Yes, and that leads me nicely to one of my nephews, my cousins from home. We were connecting through Facebook, and I read through. He was so lonely and so drawn away in New Year, and he straight away reflected back home as to what kept the family together. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Hence, bringing me to you so that we can connect through my trip to PNG and link so people can follow my story when we create it, so that people who have access to internet, they can go there and read through, and hopefully just by reading they can recall their story, the old stories that they've sat down and spoke with the elders or the parents or whomever.
Interesting, just you mentioned elders there. So the other thing that I noticed that I think is really interesting is that those kind of, I have been to Northern Territory. I've been up to the Aboriginal, up to Catherine. Yeah. You would have gone up to Catherine, and it's a lot of Aboriginal communities up there. Met some beautiful people up there. So I've sort of, experienced that. And of course, in the villages in Greece and these, Yugoslavia, these kind of places, that sort of concept of old people, to me, I look at, they have a different value in society. They sort of like, well, I'm the wise one. I've been around for years. I'll look after the grandchildren. And they have, and what happens is you find that the grandparents have a higher, they don't just put them in a home and say, see you later, you're getting old. They actually look after them. But more importantly, these old people, we call them old, have a role in life, and suddenly, I'm going to look after the grandchildren. I'm going to teach little Johnny, I'm going to teach him how to play guitar.
Absolutely.
And what that does is not only does it prolong their life, give them value, but it also, the kids get all this experience, So we have value in it. I see those kind of cultures where they really, really value the older generation. They don't just say, well, mate, you're like here. I mean, in the music industry, as soon as you turn 50, you may as well pack it if you want to get signed to a record label, which most of us don't, by the way. But you know what I'm saying. And even in the corporate world, I have I have two friends of mine who are, you know, in my age group. They're sort of in their late 50s, and they're being shoveled out of their jobs because they're you know, they're too old. You know, and it's sad, but these other cultures, they value the experience that old people have.
And thank you for saying that, because that's crucial, and one of the most important things that I believe and I'm really promoting back at home in PNG, and I to viewers, and if this goes on air, I'd like you to listen to this. It's so crucial, especially for our culture in PNG. Nationally, and I don't want to go to politics, nationally, the whole country is begging for help. And if only they can sit and think and go 10 steps back before they can move forward, and think about the simplicity, the simplest things, that firstly, breathe. You know, we breathe to live. You breathe to take 3 steps back. And I want to say this because to me, that's been a teacher. And I guess my family, we were so blessed to see globally our society, how it hurts, and how can we remedy that. And one of the things that we see, and I still read it through YouTubes and through internet and through the national politicians sitting in the national chambers, they just argue. And I don't want to put this into this interview, but I need to say it because someone's got to do it. Someone's going to stand up and be a sticking point to say, I want to make a difference. And so the focus now is we're pushing for early childhood education. And I'm not sure whether that's what is happening, but there's a lot of big budgets going towards education, and it needs to start through that, where, in my belief, and to people that numerous people I've spoken to, teachers, former teachers, or even your layperson, or a lot of elders at home. Thank God I went home this year, last year. They're crying out for early childhood, because if we have those the baby boomers, newborn babies coming up, they're not corrupt in their mind. They've got a new paradigm. I use the word loosely, but it's very hard. A new paradigm where they've got a clear picture in life. They're not being influenced by the parents or the grandparents. It's a brand new start, so that in society you have people who just want the best for everybody, not just my clan, not just your family. No, it's globally everybody.
I think you're spot on, Johnny. I think that this has to start from young. It's like your kids. You know, when you bring your children up, I mean, there's no coincidence why some kids grow up becoming non-racist, as an example.
Exactly.
My children are totally non-racist, but that's because me and Sue have always been like that. I mean, our families were, you know, so you learn these things from a young kid. If a child is born into a family that is racist or is, you know, judgmental, as an example, well, the child's a child. It's going to bring those values out. So the best place to start all this kind of stuff is in the school. What you're saying is spot on, and hopefully then the people that are actually teaching, like yourself, are you know pushing out the right message, because clearly, I mean, this is my opinion, we're getting a bit political here, but philosophically, if we don't stop thinking about winning and losing, and start thinking about compromising, finding a middle ground, like if you and I want to do a business deal, and I want $100 and you only want to pay $50, and I end up saying, well, I'm not going to do it, and you're desperate, so you do it for $100, but you're still going to be angry. You're not going to be happy about it, because you're going to feel like I'm not doing the right thing. But if I come down and say, hey, look, Johnny, I get it, mate, you're struggling, or you know, you need your money for something else, let's do it for 75, and you're happy, and I'm happy,
win-win.
Win-win. We've got to start thinking like this. You know, it's not all about me. It's not about me getting more money or me getting more. Think about the person that you're working with or communicating with, because that opportunity may bring you another opportunity.
Correct.
You know, so things flourish from, and I'm a big believer in I'm probably raving on a bit here, but
That's okay.
I really think that the more I surround myself with people that think like that, the more I'm starting to find that I'm engaging with more people like that, and life gets better because suddenly you see the same things as other people. And I'm not, having political arguments about people about. Because I think, as we've all got friends that we think, you never grew up, But the more you engage with people that think along those sort of compassionate lines, more communication, more, well then that's how it kind of spreads. I mean, that's this whole concept of sharing, and that spreads. It's, you don't need all that much. It makes me happier when I see like when I work for you and I work for all these other people that I work for. For me, I have this policy. I say to all my clients, let's get the money talk out now. How much is it? How much can you afford? Okay, we do a deal, we shake hands. I don't want to talk about money anymore. Because I'm very happy with the agreement we've got. You're happy with the agreement. Let's do the work. Let's work together. Let's do it. So therefore I take all that pressure off, and I just concentrate on what the job is. And the job is to, my job as a producer is to communicate, well, for the artist to communicate their ideas and for me to bring them out of the speakers. So again, everything we do in our life, man, gets down to communication and believing, trying to do something good for someone else. Like it's not just all about me all the time. If I can make you happy, if you can walk out of here with your new song and you're like really happy, you're going to be buzzing, you're going to go home and your kids are going to be happy, your wife's going to be happy, you're going to play, it's a good energy. But if you're pissed off because I've ripped you off or I've done the wrong thing by you, what are you going to do? You're going to go home and say, that Harry's it.
I hear you.
True.
That is true in every aspect of life. So in summarizing, just going back, so I really am really humbled and I'm so blessed and so pleased that through Tony's connection with you through music and through his recording and through me working with, like, blew up again, Tony and I clicked just like that as soon as, because we had the same interest, rugby and
Sorry to
music.
interrupt you, but that's exactly what I was just talking about. You and Tony are very similar in personalities. You are. You're very, very similar in personality. You have the same vision. That's why you clicked.
Yeah, and you're right. And surrounding yourself with positive people thinking alike is so healthy, and it's so profoundly the key to not success only, but just to humanity, to people just to live in peace and kindness. That's where the key is.
And you don't. I always often say this. I say this to my son a lot. You don't have to agree with somebody. No, I'll say that another way. You don't, because I disagree with you, it doesn't mean I don't like you.
No.
We get too animated sometimes. This happens in the studio all the time. You're recording and someone goes, I might say, well, I don't really like that guitar sound, and somebody might get offended, and I go, well, hang on, I'm not offending you. I'm just giving you my opinion. Don't take this as offence. I still love the way you play guitar. I love what you do, but my ears are telling me this is not working. So, but when you have that relationship, like you have with Tony, or like we have, you can talk like that to each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Without being offensive. There's no offence. It's like, hey Johnny, why don't we try doing that again, man? There's none of this like, this kind of ego stuff going on where I'm better than you, and it's a lot of bollocks, really. It should be. I mean, music, for God's sake, because it's about sharing. It's about giving. It's about putting it out there. That's what it is.
I love what he said, because music is a universal language. Everybody, who cares? Everybody understands it.
Absolutely.
It just brings so much peace and happiness to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It speaks every language, from your sadness to your happiness to all occasions.
Well,
that's what I love.
It covers so many different emotions, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful thing to be able to, sit down with her. I think I might have mentioned to him when I was up in Katal, I met this Aboriginal guy, and you know, the music was what connected us. You know, just the music. You know, I was just playing and doing these gigs up there, and he just came up to me. And I was back in those days. The band used to wear like black cowboy hats, you know, and he was selling white cowboy hats.
Oh, was he? Okay.
And he just came up to me. You know, I was just staying there having a drink of water, and he just came up to me and he said, "Hey, dude." I said, "What?" And he said, he goes, "I want to sell you a hat." You know, my immediate reaction was, "Oh, yeah, okay, what's going on here?" And anyway, I went over there, and he just said, and I said, "Oh," I said, "No, I'm white." I was being silly. You know, the good guys wear the white hats. I'm the bad guy, you know. And he goes, "No, you just wear it for a couple, you know, just wear it today and see if you like it, you know." So I chucked it on, and anyway, I ended up buying it. But yeah, it's, look, you just, you know, through your travels, you just meet. I've certainly found the travelling, going back to your original question, is certainly a way of opening your mind to the possibility that not everything you do is right.
Love it.
You know, that, you know, there are other people on the other side of the world, or even in your own backyard, that actually think different to you. And if you're open enough and you can say, yeah, okay, yeah, I probably wouldn't live like that, but hey, what they're doing's cool. You know, what they're doing's really cool. And I've made friends, like I'm sure you have. I mean, doing what you do, you know, in places, you know, that will always be my friends, you know, because we think alike. We have this sort of connection. We have this sort of belief that the human race is better than what it is at the moment, because it's struggles at the moment. We really are struggling. I mean, COVID didn't help us much, you know.
Yeah, true.
It kept us more, you know, apart. But look, what you're doing, Johnny, and the work you do,
thank you,
is just brilliant, and I think you should be commended for everything you do. I know it costs you money, and I know you put it in your own pocket and all that sort of stuff, and I know that. But what I do know is it's coming from here, and that's what's working for you, man. Because if you keep doing stuff that's for other people, you know, people get it. I know Tony speaks very highly of you, and it's a great team. I'm very glad I met you through Tony.
Thank you, Harry. I just want to say, to finish up also, I just want to say a big shout out to all our stakeholders, those who have been on a journey with us through all these resources. Instead of going through the names, they're on my website, and through Harry. Harry's created that, and we're looking at upgrading it. So because we've got more people coming into Party now, and their names will be added on, and we'll be putting in a couple of blurbs also on the review that I've just done in PNG, a couple of YouTubes I've done, and we're just going to improve it a little bit and put it on there, just the links. And please feel free to go and browse the website, and if you have any questions, just go through. There's a link there as well. Just send me a note, and then we'll get back to you the next time I go to the website. But with that, I just want to thank you, the viewers, to have a look, and I want to thank Harry,
Johnny,
my man, my good mate Harry, for having a chat with me today.
My pleasure, mate.
And this is not the last time. We'll be doing more of this in future. Although I'm living in Queensland now, but I'm Queensland and I'm Victoria, so that's where I'm going back and forth. Okay, cheerio, God bless.
See you guys.
Cheers, have a good day.